Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. One of my main concerns is us heading into another Great Depression. It's a very real concern, by the way. And what sparked off, at least one of the main factors in sparking off the first Great Depression, was a crash in the stock market, which seems to be looming or heading in that direction. A few articles to look at. First, the Fed is preparing for even more interest rate hikes. And I could go through the article, but I'll be honest with you. It's the same old with them. Raise interest rate to try to curb inflation. Nobel laureate Paul Krugman says he's confused by the current U.S. economy, you and me both, and predicts the Fed will keep fighting inflation until it's clearly won. And raise interest rates until finally the inflation goes away. That is their plan. And what does that lead to? Yep, stock market at critical level and braced for high risk of collapse in March. Here's what investors should know. Though high inflation and Federal Reserve interest rate hikes have fueled much of the fears driving the ongoing stock weakness, the depth and length of most bear markets are determined by the trend in earning projections. Over the past year, stocks have rallied as corporate earnings come out, but then plunged in the month leading up to new reports. The consequence, the Fed's relentless efforts to slow down the economy will inevitably hurt earnings and push stocks to a new multi-year low. And it's become increasingly clear that the Fed is not yet finished with rate hikes, not even close. So all in all, here's what we're seeing. As the Fed see inflation, forget about what causes it. It's not simply people spending too much money. But as the Fed see more and more inflation, they actually increase the interest rates more and more, stifling the economy and hurting the stock market drastically. And from the Motley Fool, which I love, the only stock market chart you need to be a smarter investor. But it's not so much about investing, but being a precursor. And it says the stock market will always experience dips on a regular basis. It's more important to look at the big picture and see how the market performs over time. And of course, you can see in this chart, goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. And up until modern times, like 2021, 22, 23, it's definitely going up quite a bit. But when we start seeing catastrophic things like the S&P scores the fastest 100% rally since the Great Depression at the open, and that shows volatility, because if you're some type of stock trader, or even more specifically a day trader, you appreciate those dips, those quicks up and downs, because you can actually make money pretty quickly that way. But when you start seeing things going out of range, being outliers in the statistics, that's when you have to take a notice. I'd like to show you this graph. It's showing what we just looked at. Here's what we saw in the last graph, going up and up and up. But what they're showing and speculating is, as it goes up and up, eventually what goes up must come down. And we're looking at going back to who knows when, losing all of that gain we actually had in the past, making the market crash. And that indeed is exactly what the article's talking about this happening possibly this month. So if we're looking at possibly a second Great Depression coming, massive unemployment, people moving out of the cities, all those things we saw in the first Great Depression, all from a catalyst stemmed from the stock market crashing, we easily could see the same thing again. Of course, we're Goshen Prepping, and we want to be able to prepare for this. What is something we could do to prepare for such a cataclysmic thing? Of course, trying to put away as much food and stuff as possibly as you can. Because this second Great Depression, they said when and if it happens, is going to be nightmarish compared to the first one. If the first one wasn't nightmarish enough, it was. But that's something we have to be ready for. And unfortunately, from the way it looks, even the experts are agreeing, it is coming.